Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. We are back here with Debrief, the most comprehensive, the most analytical and outrageous hour-long YouTube show in the Leeds United sphere. My name is Conor McGilligan, and I'm here to guide you through another episode of the Debrief, the sixth of its kind. I am joined, as always, by Mr. Norwich are upside down, David Brown, and Mr. Nah, not for me, Cage. Boys, how are we doing? Is everyone in the building? We are back. Cage, I'll come to you first, mate. How are you doing? Are you okay?
So is that me or KG?
It's a KG. I'm just waiting. I don't know if he's airing me. I don't know if I'm getting ghosted already.
Oh, I thought you said Brownie. No, I'm good, man. I'm good. Hope everyone's good in the chat as well.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Brownie, you okay, mate?
Yeah, good. Good to see.
Yeah, could have been worse, definitely. Good to see everybody in the building. Guys, before we start, a little bit of housekeeping. This is the Debrief. It's our sixth episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Follow all the lads' socials in the description below. We've had nearly 46,000 views in 5 episodes, which is absolutely mad for a minimum hour-long episode. It's crazy numbers, so thank you so much. If you want podcast audio, get it in the comment section so you can go to work, you can get it on your lunch break. I will be happy to facilitate that if you guys want it in podcast form. I know there's been a fair few of you talking about that, but let me get to your comments. There's already 200 of you here. Thank you so much for joining us on your Monday, as always. Better than Sky, says Stephen Higgins. Evening, lads, says Lee Smith. Evening, Connor and the boys. Morning, everyone, says Claire. Jesus, tell us where you are. David already with a hard-hitting statement there. Craney over Furpo.
That's not my burner account.
KG, Connor and Brownie. Dale says, one day Connor will use the green screen. Brilliant. Colin's already here with the donation. Colin, absolute legend. Thank you again, mate. Evening, lads. Need to absolutely knock the hell out of Brighton next. 5-0. We are not getting the bounce off the ball at the moment. 10 to 2 feet. Roberts out. That's a mouthful to say. 10 to 2 feet. Roberts out. James on the scoreboard. Thanks so much, mate. But yes, fellas, right. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? Let's get into the nooks and crannies. But make sure you're liking the video, guys. 220 of you in here now. Okay, so first of all, I want to get the lads don't know about this, but we're starting a predictions league. Okay, now we're only going to start it like after the last game because I've not done it for the whole season. We're only 5 episodes in. This is the 6th. So last week, KG went with Spurs 1, Leeds United 1. Brownie went with 2-0 Spurs, and I went with 2-2. So how we're going to do it is it's going to be a point if you get the correct team. It's going to be 3 points if you get the correct scoreline. So make sure you're doing your own thing as well if you guys want to get involved. But currently, this is the league table. So I put myself at the bottom there, KG, even though I should be second, mate, because you know C is before K and all that. But yeah, we'll go with Brownie takes the lead, and we will be keeping this table up. So as I say, guys, make sure you are still keeping up with that. Christ, that seemed long. That seemed really
good job.
Really
you
long.
didn't have my Leeds 1, Leicester 1. But it's all right. We'll start now. Don't worry about it.
It's actually been a really good start for you there, Brownie. There you go. So, yeah, the ones at the end. Make sure you remind me to come to that at the end because I will forget. So, the match. God, where do we start? So, lads, what I want to start on initially is we'll go in chronological order. Okay, so we see the lineup. No indication whatsoever that our maybe 2 main men at the minute. I know KG will wince at that, but Rodrigo and Rafinha were out of the lineup. Leeds United started with Ilan Melier, Diego Llorente, Kalvin Phillips in sort of a quarterback role, Liam Cooper, Stuart Dallas on the right side, Forshaw and Click in the middle, Pascal again on the left-hand side, DJ, Jack Harrison and Gelhardt up front. So, KG, when you first saw the lineup, mate, anxiety-stricken, I presume?
Not anxiety, more frustration, just at the lack of depth, and I'm sure we'll get into that later in the show. But it just screamed to me what I've been saying. I can't speak for anyone else. Just that the summer transfer window wasn't good enough, and it really came to light with this team lineup. And the bench was a joke. You know, we can't hide from that. And I know a lot of people are very proud that certain people got their debuts, and it is good for certain people to get their debuts, but they shouldn't be getting them at Leeds United in the Premier League, away at Tottenham when we're 2-1 down in a game. They just shouldn't be. That shouldn't be happening. And again, this is on. We'll get into who it's on later in the show, but yeah, it's not really confidence inspiring, is it, when Rafinha's out? You know, never mind all the other names that you said. Rafinha being out, he's literally our main goal threat right now. So him going out means, well, where's the goals going to come from? So it just meant relying on Gelhardt, who I have said that I wanted to start, but we're starting him again without our main people around him. I want Gelhardt to start with Bamford and Rafinha next to him, not him trying to bulldoze everyone, because then we're relying on an out-of-form Click, a ghost of Click, I should say, out of sorts, Jack Harrison, who did very well in the game, and also Dan James, who, with all the endeavour, has been lacking a little bit of has been lacking end product. So it was a lot to ask of the young kid to go up front, but I think he started well in the game as well. But yeah, in terms of the lineup, it wasn't very confidence building, no.
Brownie, mate, how are you feeling? I mean, I think I completely echo what Cage is saying, really. I mean, I was saying on here, we were chatting about the game. Obviously, you said that it was going to be a tough one for Leeds. Obviously, with your predictions sort of highlighted that. I mean, when I was looking at, I completely agreed with you, but I just thought, because Conte's not going to be, you know, we spoke about the international break. We spoke about the players that he still has at his disposal not being good enough. Still better than Leeds, granted. They were still dangerous, but if Leeds really imposed themselves on Tottenham, could they have got something out of that game? But when you did see the lineup, listen, we even spoke in our group chat, you see Gelhardt and you think, brilliant. But like KG said, without Rafinha, without Rodrigo, without these players around him that can facilitate us offensively, it's really, really difficult to look at that lineup and get excited at the start of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. And I think Gelhardt acquitted himself quite well, to be fair. He's definitely put himself in the ring to say, well, why can't he start in the next game against Brighton? I think he did. Amazingly, there's a stat that I saw, and I know it's early to get into Roberts, but I've seen a stat today, and Gelhardt in his Premier League games for Leeds has had more shots on target than Roberts has in the last 50 games. It's amazing. It's staggering.
Yeah.
But we'll get onto the subs in a bit. Like KG says, the depth. We put in our group chat because we'd heard murmurs early on in the day about players missing, and by 3:30 when the teams come out, I think I digested the fact already that they weren't going to be playing, and we did acquit ourselves quite well. Do you know, you said about we could really impose ourselves on Tottenham, and I felt we did that first half. But I remember tweeting it last night. It's like we've seen that film before. We know what's going to happen, and again, it comes down to the depth. It's good first half, get into the second half, and there's just nothing. There's just nothing to bring on and change a game. I've been looking at games today, and there's so many games this season where we've been in games up to an hour. Even Man United away, first game of the season, 52 minutes with 1-1. We bring on Costa and Roberts. They bring on Sancho and Martial. And it's been like that all season. Newcastle away, 1-1, 60 minutes. We bring on Roberts and Somerville. West Ham, we're bringing on Roberts, Somerville. They're bringing on Yarmolenko and Vlasic. It's just a depth all the way through. Even Arsenal in the Cup, 0-0 after an hour. They're bringing on Lacazette and Chambers, and we're bringing on Somerville, Greenwood and Gelhardt. It's just that youngster depth again, like KG says. And yesterday, it's no disrespect to McKinstry, but when you're 2-1 down with about 10 minutes to go with injury time, you're bringing on a 19-year-old and they're bringing on Dele Alli. Do you know what I mean? It's just, we're just worlds apart in terms of depth. And it's just been like that for me all season. Just we put in such a good performance in that first half. We get ourselves ahead. And then you get to 60, 70 minutes, Click, whenever he comes back from Poland, never finishes a game. It's always 60, 65 and hand goes up or he comes off. Forshaw's just getting back from injury, I thought was very good. But he can't be expected to do 90, 90, 90, 90. And then you look at the bench, there's just nothing. There genuinely is nothing to come on in these games. And I'll ask the question for the comments of our average age of our bench for all season this year at average age? You'd be amazed.
Yeah, go on.
Over the 12 games, the average age of our bench over 12 games has been 20 years old. And it's just, is it sustainable? I mean, I guess I have to say yes, because I don't think we'll go down. But to kick on, it's not sustainable. And I think that's the issue. To kick on, a bench of 20 years old, it's just not sustainable in the Premier League. Like KG mentioned, McKinstry, and I'm not digging the lad out. He's made his debut. Brilliant for him. That's unbelievable. But if he went out on loan, I don't even think he'd go to the Championship on loan. Yeah, he's coming on at Tottenham Hotspur away. It's just, and I've had tweets, and I'm going on a bit of a rant. I've had tweets going, yeah, but when these players are back in, our bench should be this, and this. But it's never like that. 2 or 3 will come back, and then 2 or 3 will be go out injured again. Like they've got the 6, weren't there? There was Bamford, Rafinha, Rodrigo, Koch, Shackleton, and another one. There's that many I forgot. Ayling, that was it. And it's like, oh, well, then all them come back, we've got a good bench. But when they come back, the others will be injured. You've said it yourself, Connor. In Bielsa'S 3 years, when has he ever had a fully fit squad? It never happens. Like, take the Cooper situation at centre-back. He plays all the time because he's the only one ever fit. When have we ever had Struijk, Llorente, Koch all fit at the same time? People in the comments might be able to tell me when, but I can't remember it.
No, I think, yeah. I know you said it's a rant, mate, but it's all spot on. It's all stuff that we'll definitely get into, mate. I concur with everything you're saying there, and I've actually got it written down here. We'll just go through Lee's comment here. I said this on Cage's Live last night. We think we're better than half the teams in the league. We aren't close to top 10. Thin squad says it all. Yeah. It's harsh, but probably true. I mean, Koch, Ayling, Bamford, Rodrigo, Rafinha, Shackleton is the nucleus of any side anyway, and just the general scope on the game. Leeds rolled into a 1-0 victory at half-time. I thought in the first half was superb, but the only issue, I thought there were some shining lights in the first half. I thought Adam Forshaw was fantastic again. Leeds had a real balance. Harry Kane didn't, for me, do anything. Quick shout out once again to Pascal Struijk, who was fantastic, kept Son quiet. And there was a real nice balance there within the Leeds side. We didn't have a cutting edge, but I was okay with just keeping Tottenham Hotspur at bay there. I thought Dallas was very good as well. And, overall, you look at the overall picture, KG, 18 shots, 7 on target. It seems like Leeds are averaging a ridiculous amount of shots per game, but the cutting edge is definitely a factor. And listen, I just want to know what you thought about the first half, KG. Are there any specific points that you picked out? You must have been really happy rolling into half-time 1-0, especially with Daniel James getting on the score sheet.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a couple of points there. Pascal Struijk, I mentioned him last night, but man, left-sided, he was giving us an outlet on the left side for Jack Harrison to do his thing. He then moves infield, intercepts something for Dallas to take a shot, almost scored. And then he was in our own box defending as a centre back. The guy is just, for me, he's just so important to this team, and he's getting more important as the weeks tick on. Just his adaptability in the get for us. He's just so good, and he's good on the ball as well. He's not just a runner; he's got quality with his feet as well. So, big shout out to Struijk. Harrison again, dribbling is the way he set up the goal, a little bit of skill, breezing past Emerson. That was the Jack Harrison that we want to see come back. And it's nice to see that again. Hopefully he does that in a run of games now. Kalvin Phillips in that role was excellent, by the way. Harry Kane couldn't get a sniff while Kalvin Phillips was there. Kalvin Phillips just had him. To be fair, him and Cooper in the first half, both of them, I'll give them both credit. They did well on Harry Kane in that first half. Kalvin was sensational. I know a lot of people have said, what has he been doing lately? But that is what he gives us when he plays like that. So the first half was very, very encouraging. Dan James was looking good all game, I thought. He was the one that was taking the shots for us. Whenever he got a little... After he scored the goal, he was taking shots here and there because his confidence was up. And that's what you want to see from him now. But yeah, the first half was amazing. But this is what's happened this season, and it goes with our form. We go 1-0 up. Remember the previous seasons when we go 1-0 up, we'd be like, yeah, we're good now. We're going to go on and win this game. I'm thinking, oh my days, we need a second goal just to kill this off. The crowd was on Tottenham. They were booing their back passes. Harry Winks took a free kick and passed it back. They were getting on them. So again, a bit like the Newcastle game, we had a chance to kill these guys off. A second goal, I think they wouldn't have come back just from the atmosphere that would have been in the stadium. But again, we can't hold the lead. It's a symptom of this season so far, which is why we are where we are.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice way of summing it up, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, it's a real difficulty at the minute, and I think there's so many games where I think the big thing at the minute as well is Leeds winning games. And do you remember there was that period, wasn't there, for so long where Leeds would be in the lead and we'd be fantastic. You know, teams couldn't come back. They could not come back at us. And there was a real statistic and momentum when Leeds went in the lead. But now there's so many games. There's I think we've got down here, it's 5 out of the 11 where Leeds have actually taken the lead. We've got down here now Spurs, Leicester, West Ham, Norwich and Newcastle. You know, all of those games where we haven't got 3 points. And it does become difficult, but obviously, KG, the point is Leeds just don't have the capabilities to be able to go on and finish a result in the Premier League at this moment in time, really, over a long period because of the depth. And we can talk about and talk about and talk about. We have to, don't we? Because it's the end game. It's the result.
Yeah, listen, it's what happened again in the second half. Brownie's right. 60 minutes come, I mean, Click was starting to blow. And we're comparing him to Click of when Bielsa first come. He'd be good for 90 minutes every week, no problem about it. But he's getting older, and I think the toll of Bielsa ball is probably just taking its toll too far now, especially with the quality needed in the Premier League. And we also started to use the ball like a hot potato again, which I think Kalvin was alluding to, where we weren't holding on to the ball in the second half when it was just coming back to us instead of holding it like we was in the first. Again, this is what I'm talking about as well. And I said it yesterday. I know a few people agreed with me here. But I don't want to see us buy any more runners. I don't want to see any more workhorses coming. We've got enough of those. We need people with quality on the ball. Enough of this work rate stuff. Let's get some people that can hold the ball, trap a ball, do something different with it rather than just run around without any end product. Because that's what we had with Click yesterday. As fine as he was in the first half, he was the one that was losing the ball in the final third for us. And stuff was breaking down a bit through him. So we do need to get better. But again, these are things that should have been addressed in the summer. But they went the Kumbaya route and tried to keep the band together. And, you know, it's not working. It's not working so far anyway.
Brownie, is this too negative?
I think it's just, I mean, like KG says, if we get that second goal, we're probably having a different conversation slightly. We mentioned off air, would it have papered over the cracks? The top and bottom of it is the depth isn't there. It isn't. The depth isn't there, and it has killed us in a lot of games, like you just mentioned. How many games we've gone ahead in games? We just haven't got the legs to see it out. Not the legs, that's maybe the wrong phrase, because I don't want to say we're burning out. That's not what I mean. But benches can win you games. You see it with the top teams. Something's not going right, or they want to hold. They change it. There's another quality player coming on. Like I've said, our average age of our bench is 20. There's just no experience on the bench whatsoever to bring on and see a game out. First half, I think it's a complete away performance, to be honest. We've soaked up. We've scored a goal on the break. We've
brilliant, absolutely brilliant first. Brown, none of us expected that, did we? Absolutely, nobody expected that sort of performance. It was brilliant.
And a man to a man across the pitch, like AJ says, strike in the middle, Forshaw. Phillips was unbelievable. James and Harrison were lively, causing problems. Geldart was holding things up. He was running at players. I saw an unbelievable stat where he's had the most touches in the box yesterday than any other Premier League player this season in that one game. He was getting at the ball. He was running at players, which is what we saw in the Wolves game. It was a complete first half performance. But as we've seen this season so many times, we're not marrying it up with a second half performance.
Yeah, I think
Connor, just before we move on, there was a comment that you brought up on the screen actually by Jack about Lewis Bate, and it's pure speculation and conspiracy by myself, so just forgive me for this, but I just feel we saw McKinstry get a debut before Lewis Bate, which for me is unbelievable, but it just seems to me that Lewis Bate may, once he comes in, may be one of those where we look at him and say he can't take him out, and I just feel that, you know how loyal he is to certain players. I think it's probably killing him that he's not being able to start Tyler Roberts as much as he would like to to then take out Click or someone else in the spine that he's known for 3 years. You know what he's like. He feels very guilty. You'll be writing a letter 20 years from now saying, "I'm so sorry, Click, for dropping you for Lewis Bate." You know what he's like. I just feel like it could be one of those where Lewis Bate has just got the quality to do it. And once we see it, we won't want him to get dropped. That's just my little inkling just from how he works with and his loyalty to certain players.
Yeah, it's fascinating, really, because McKinstry was definitely a big feature. I think it was a couple of years ago in terms of the 23s where they thought he was going to be the next breakout star, and it's really gathering momentum in terms of him getting into a first team, and Bielsa was really enthused about him. So I know he's always been one of his favourites, but the thing about Bate was Bate's come with such calibre and he's done so well in the 23s. I don't understand the inconsistency of it. I just don't understand where, you know, you'll even get your likes of your Cody Drames, which I can understand a little bit more. But with regards to McKinstry, I just didn't really understand the plan of why you brought him on and what the purpose was when we were chasing the game as well. Like, yeah, and we'll get onto it. I'll tell you what, lads, let's get into the second half, because I think the first half's much of a muchness. Additional points, Stuart Dallas. I think I've mentioned him at the start, but I think the beneficiary of Stuart at the minute is, like we've mentioned for the past couple of weeks, every single time he's played since he did that fantastic interview and was very vulnerable and spoke about some horrendous things that have happened in his personal life. He seems to have really gone on another level, and I thought he was very, very good the other day, a very underrated performance. So let's get into the second half then. And obviously Leeds go 1-0 up. You saw instantaneous change from Tottenham. Their intensity seemed to go up. They seemed to move 2-3 yards further up the pitch. Leeds, under no pressure at points, were misplacing passes. There was a real sloppiness, I thought, within our play. And I mean, KG, what happened at the start of that second half? I mean, we saw Kalvin Phillips. I tweeted it out when the game was going on, for some bizarre reason, go into central midfield and start following Harry Winks around. I don't know what that was all about. That seemed to cause mass confusion because suddenly Kane was dropping off the forward line and getting 5 or 6 yards of space. Son seemed to be getting more space as well. Stroud didn't seem as close. It seemed even Bielsa was definitely at fault at some points in this game.
Yeah, listen, you always have to preface this, otherwise people think that you want Bielsa gone tomorrow or something like that. But I love Bielsa. But you can criticize some of the things that have been going on, and it's been happening a bit this season with the tactical moves, the substitutions that he makes. It's puzzling. So for me, it's like the first half. What you saw was Bielsa at his best, getting the best out of the players that you didn't think that you would get the best out of without our star men in there, and you get a good performance. In the second half, what you get is Conte being able to go in at half time, do his thing as a top coach, and get a victory for his team out of what is seemingly out of nothing, because they hadn't had a shot on target up until the second half. So that's the difference between the two coaches. And Bielsa even alluded to that in his pre-match conference, saying, "Look at what Conte's won." But it's not just that. He did make some changes, and Kalvin did allude to it. You see, the thing is, before, that's not the first time Kalvin has ever said, "I don't know why he moved me back there." It's just that it was funny before because it was working and it was all right, but because it's happening at this time, it's like, oh God, what's happening with Kalvin? Is he undermining Bielsa and stuff like that? It's funny how things change in the context of where you are in the table. But yeah, he made changes that were, for me, were unnecessary, and I don't know if the Firpo thing coming on at that point was planned, but it didn't work. It really didn't work. Firpo looked rusty as hell out there in that game.
KG, you know, with Click, I mean, I just want to just probe in what you just said there. In terms of, I don't think Click was good at all. I thought he was probably one of our worst performers, and I think this is becoming a more consistent thing, which is why people are talking for Forshaw, even talking about Bate getting ahead of him.
Yeah.
Even just for a system-based thing, for me, if there was no injury there, he looked, don't get me wrong, he looked a little bit leggy, but Click always looks a little bit leggy. Even if it's just system-based, for me, you just keep Click in there because what's broke doesn't need to be fixed. And I think at that moment in time, Leeds looked okay. We were matching them. We went into half-time. It was fine. And then we came out into the second half, and the changes, I know we were under the cosh a little bit at the start, but I thought we managed it okay. Melee made a brilliant save. But even just Click being system-based, would you have just kept him on for that purpose?
In the situation we're in, because of the bench we've got, it depends how long he could give us, because he was blowing at that point. I don't know if you noticed that, but he was.
I didn't. To be fair, I didn't. I wasn't noticing that. Actually.
Yeah. He wasn't moving like he was in the first half. He was starting to slow down. But that's the problem. Again, it goes back to the depth. We should have another midfielder. I mean, how did Bate not even make the bench?
That's what I was.
Listen, yeah, I mean that's the problem. We should have a midfielder. We shouldn't be programmed and controlled in thinking that we shouldn't have another midfielder there. We should do, and that's the problem.
Yeah, Brownie, how are you thinking?
Right, I think you're right, Connor. I mean, Kane had that chance straight after half time, but then we went down the other end. We had the strike header. We had the James little pot shot where Luis has saved. I think we weathered. They had a good 10-minute spell at time, but I think we weathered it a little bit, and then it just seemed to. I think Kid's right. Klitsch, and I said it before. Every time he comes back from Poland, he gets to an hour. I don't know if that's a travelling. When he goes with Poland, he always plays with them. I don't know what it is, but he gets to an hour, and that's him done in that first game back from international. And like we've said many a times, and we're like a broken record. What else was there to bring on? There was
Brownie, just quickly, Connor, just bring up Retro Football Club. That would have been an even better idea. Sorry, continue, Brownie.
Sorry. Yeah, go on, Brownie.
Yeah. It just felt like changing one position, as always, made us have to move 3 people around, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be like for like. We should have to bring a centre midfielder off, bring a centre midfielder on. Phillips on Kane was working. Kane was getting annoyed. He was waving his arms around. He just wasn't getting anywhere. Cooper was then doubling up on him. It allowed Strike to come inside with Son so many times. Son was getting the ball, facing his own goal time after time. He wasn't allowing the time to turn and run.
Brilliant tactic. Tactic.
It was working. And their winner, it came from, I'm sure, I don't want to, it's a blurb. I'm sure Son or Moira got on the turn past Firpo and then was just running at Cooper. He had no option but to bring him down. That's where the free kick came from, and it just felt like that first half. Everybody was tight, forcing them back towards their own goal, and then the changes. It was just one change, and we have to make 3 positional changes on the pitch just for the sake of one sub.
I feel like at the minute as well. Every goal Leeds seem to score is we have to put so much effort in to score a goal. It's always a really good goal. It's normally a team goal, or it could be a little bit of individual brilliance. Listen, I know Rafinha's put in a few free kicks. We saw it at Newcastle, and we saw it. I believe it was against Leicester, where he maybe didn't mean it, but it was still a great whip cross and a good finish, really, a good execution. But I feel like every single time a team comes forward against Leeds, they do get the look of the draw, don't they? I mean, there was a couple of the effort that Son shot across the face of goal was going out for a throw-in. It deflects off Cooper, smacks the bar, and you're thinking, flipping heck, like, and the goals especially. You know, I do look at the second goal, and maybe I'm being a little bit harsh here, but I think, why is Reggie on the first player to react on the pitch, or is that just blatant luck? It's just landed at his feet, and nobody's following it in. I don't know, but I just felt throughout that entire game, everything seemed to fall for Tottenham. KG, is that me just being a silly fan who's just thinking that everything's wrong that comes against Leeds, or do you think we're just not getting the look of the green at the minute?
No, we were fortunate in a couple because they hit the bar and post with a few of their efforts too. So we did get a bit of the rubber of the green in the game. But I know Brownie saying that Cooper had to bring him down. I don't agree with that because there was so many players, and I looked at it again on Match of the Day. There were so many players covering around Lucas Moura, and I said it yesterday. You have to play the percentages with these things. It's Lucas Moura. He's not a prolific goal scorer. He has to then do something with his end product, which he's not known for consistently. It was a needless free kick to give away at that point. It was a lazy leg. He just stuck out. I think it was unnecessary, in my opinion. And then you talk about the free kick. How many people score those kind of free kicks in the Premier League where it's a rebound and then someone just knocks it in like that? It's very. That's
what I mean. That's what I'm alluding to, though.
Yeah, it's usually offside or somebody will clear it out. It's very rare. And a bit like the first one as well, the Højbjerg goal, it bobbles in after, good work by Moura, give him credit. But it took about 3 bounces before it went in. But I've said this as well myself. It just seems that we don't get those kind of goals at the minute. We have to score almost something perfect, a bit like the Harrison skill crossing and James finishing it off, rather than just a scrappy, 6-yard scrapping and getting a goal. There's nothing wrong with those. I want to see a few of those from us now.
But how can you do that when not enough players are in and around the penalty box at one moment?
And this was something else I was going to say, because as good as Gelhardt did yesterday, there was a few crosses where you need that different kind of striker up front, somebody that can head the ball. And our team is, all around the board quite small, except for Pascal and maybe Llorente. There are some balls in there where a real striker that's good in the air would attack those and score, not making it look like such a bad ball. But we just don't have it. So
that was my concern when it was James, Harrison, Gelhardt as the front three. That was my only concern, was we had a lot of the ball in these wide positions, but you're looking up to the box and there was just nothing really in there. It was just Gelhardt would have to produce something against as many bodies as there was. I think it was, ironically, the only time when we scored was when we had a couple of bodies actually in the box. And just touching on to that Højbjerg goal, if you look at it, he's on the edge of the box with nobody near him. And I just wonder, are the changes of personnel of marking who and who, has that confused who should actually be near Højbjerg? Because Forshaw's near nobody, Phillips is near nobody. When you actually look at that Højbjerg goal, he's just stood on his own.
It's a really good point, because I did think as soon as the changes were made, and it sounds really stupid because, listen, the players know the roles and it's passed on, all this sort of stuff. But is it passed on the pitch? Do the players go and tell the others who's man marking who? Because it does seem, and this has been a thing throughout the season, when there has been substitutions that have been made for Leeds United, in the second half in particular, obviously, there is a spell where it is a little bit chaotic and we don't really know what's going on or who's marking who. Like, there was that phase yesterday for a good 15 minutes after the substitutions. Obviously, Tottenham pushed up, but it seemed sporadic. It seemed like, and Tottenham were consistently running through our middle all of a sudden. And I think that is a massive fact. We saw when Adam Forshaw went off, once again, the structure did maybe seem to come apart a little bit.
I mean, it does come for players. I mean, I've never played in front of 60,000, but I've played in front of 15, 20,000 and you can't hear anything. You generally can't hear anything from the side. So when you make subs, it does come from, right, you're going on, tell him to park him, tell him to pick up him. It has to come from players on the pitch who's doing what, because you generally can't hear anything from the side of you. Think you got 60,000 people screaming. You can't possibly hear from the bench. Yeah, the management can point and do whatever, but that information has to come on from them changes. And to me, when Højbjerg was in it, he generally had nobody near him. It just felt like, well, who was really meant to be picking him up? You couldn't even tell who was picking him up from the goal because there was just nobody near him.
Mm-hmm. And just before I forget, because there's something I want to mention as well. When Son took a dive, Llorente was on him. Get up. He was shouting at him. Everyone else was just getting back on with the game. Again, it's another one of our passive things where we're not saying to the ref, "Hey, where's the yellow card for this dive?" Because it was clearly a dive as well. Yeah. And Llorente was the only one to call it out. Kalvin Phillips with his post-match comments again, showing his leadership too. I think we're starting to see with who's the quality players that we've got who are expecting better and aren't just happy just to go along with this happy-go-lucky ride as well.
No, it's a really good point, because we've mentioned it a few times where people haven't really been saying stuff. But yeah, I agree. Llorente, he wasn't happy. I wasn't having it one bit. But are we doing ref watch tonight, Connor?
I've not got it on the schedule, but we can add it. We'll add it in.
We'll dive in now. Why is that sort of thing not a yellow card? Why is it not a yellow card? They've gone to the monitor to see if it's a pen. It's clearly a dive. Why cannot? And it's a clear and obvious error. It is a dive. Why can that not be given a yellow card?
You enjoyed that one, didn't you, Brownie?
On the ref, loved it. Yeah. Do you know what? It actually looked like he meant it a little bit. There was a part of him where he got to him and he actually held him, and there was a part of him that chucked him, and I loved it.
Yeah, he got. I think Kalvin was a little bit frustrated at that point because he got in his way before. I don't know if you noticed that one, but the ref just seemed to be dawdling around the middle of the park. I've
noticed that not just in Leeds games, but in games in general. A lot of midfielders have got the ref in the way of them a lot.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's just interesting we're talking about Bielsa there. I mean, listen, there's a lot of people saying stop being so negative. It's not. I just don't see it as negative. It's stone cold. It's in front of our face. But if we are to draw some positives on it, listen, we had so many first teamers out. I thought Joffrey was brilliant. I mean, Dallas, as I said, was excellent, but we've got to call a spade. And at the minute, it's difficult when you're looking at 17th place in the table, 2 wins out of 12. But let's get into it. There's a lot of people as well asking in the chat. And listen, as I've said before, I don't profess on this channel to host the debrief, and the USP of it, guys. It always has been. It's real. It's honest. And we say it from our hearts. That is just how it is. We say it how we see it. So that's how this has always been. If people don't like it, as harsh as it sounds, you know what to do, because this is going to be the whole hour. Unfortunately, it's not going to be pure negativity, but it's going to be real. It's going to be real. And Brownie, just on that, there's been a couple of comments already asking and saying, Connor, you're not bringing it up on purpose, and I will bring it up, of course. Are you now of the feeling that Leeds United are in a relegation battle?
Me?
I'm just asking. Yeah,
no.
Putting it to the floor.
No.
So you're not even of the mindset now. We're not.
We will
not.
We will not go down.
Okay, that's fine. I take that point, and I would. Yeah. Okay, we'll take that point. I'm not saying that we are going to go down, but are Leeds in a relegation battle?
Of course. I think anybody from. And I said this weeks ago, I think it's 3 from the bottom 7. I've said that weeks ago, but I don't think we'll be one of them. Any team that's not competing for Europe in the top 8, it's that tight is the league, I think is in danger of going down. I mean, I looked at the league table at half-time yesterday. We were 14th. We were 3 points behind Man United, 2 behind Tottenham, and level with Leicester. Do you know what I mean? That was just off the back of 1 win. If we'd have held on yesterday, I know it's if, buts and maybes, but that was the position we were in at half-time yesterday. 3 points behind Man United.
Is that
That's just showing how tight the league is. 2 wins and you're well out of it. Back-to-back wins and you're well out of it.
Does that sort of veer into what we were talking about earlier, though, with, maybe we'll get so-and-so back next week and maybe we'll win that game? It's...
Next 2 are huge. Brighton Palace back to back. If you pick up 4 or 6 points from Brighton Palace back to back, you're mid-table.
Okay, well let's go on this. So the next 3 games, we've got Brighton, we've got Brentford, we've got Palace. Obviously, I think Palace is before Brentford. Okay, so let's talk on this. These are absolutely huge games. I think we all understand that, because December is going to be extremely difficult. So what do Leeds, get your comments in the section below as well, guys. There's 540 of you watching now. Please like, comment, and subscribe as always. What do Leeds need from these next 3 games, KG, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, and just answering the relegation scrap, of course we're in a relegation battle, because I think if we were looking at any other team saying you've won 2 games out of 12, we'd be saying, of course, they're in a relegation scrap. But I know what Brown is saying in believing that he doesn't think we're going to be one of the 3 worst teams after 38 games. I completely get that. But right now, our form it's awful. When you look at it, we're 17th. We've played more games than we've got points right now. So that is bad. And the fact that we're looking at saying 4 points out of the next 2 against Palace and Brentford shows you as well that we are in a scrap, because last year we'd have been looking at 2 wins with the way that we were playing. So yeah, relative to what we are right now, it is a battle. I would be happy with those 3 games, 6 points. Brighton is always tough for us for some reason, always has been for whatever reason. I'm not usually one of those that say just because it happened before doesn't mean it can happen again. There's just something about it that we just don't do very well at Brighton. But home fixtures against Brentford, who aren't doing that great, even worse now that they lost their number 1 goalkeeper, and also Crystal Palace, that's going to be a tough one. But if we can get 6 points from those 2, that would be tremendous, because what's happening as well is, unlike previous years where teams at the bottom weren't picking up points here and there, we all seem to be playing after these teams as well, by the way. All these teams seem to be picking up points and wins here and there, whereas we're not, So, yeah, 6 points would be fantastic. I sound like Ali Gunnar Solskjaer there. Fantastic.
I know what Gage is saying. I've never had an enjoyable trip back from Brighton. Whenever I've been to Brighton,
have we ever won at the Amex? I think the last time we won was Delph at the Withdean, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
But I don't want to put the kiss of death on, because this is a massive Leeds United thing to do. But I've seen a stat. Brighton haven't, and you might be able to check this because I couldn't believe it. Brighton haven't won in the last 12. Not last 12. Brighton haven't won in the last God knows how many games.
They draw a lot of games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So step forward, Leeds United.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
I think we said the exact same thing before the Southampton game.
And Tottenham. But yeah, Brighton haven't won for a few. I predicted that when we had a run of last 5, I didn't think we'd get anything from Brighton. The Tottenham first half is encouraging me enough to think we will. But the 2 at home have got to be wins. Brighton, Brentford at home, Brentford and Palace at home. Got to be looking at getting 6 from them, and then anything from Brighton is a bonus for me. But like I said 5 minutes ago, back-to-back wins in this league of how tight it is, it does push you up a little bit. Like yesterday, like I said, we'd have been 14th if we'd have hung on, and that's what I meant a bit earlier. I mean, it might have been off air. Was we so annoyed with the team that first half has made the defeat okay, or was it papered over the crack as if to say we're in a bit of a stuck here and the squad depth just isn't there? It's one of them, isn't it? Are we happy that we didn't get battered? Because a lot of Leeds fans, when they saw that team, were thinking it could be in for a hide in here. So are we a little bit more relieved that it was only 2-1, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, I'm more. It's not really on the team for me, this defeat. I think the team give everything they could. I don't think this is on them. This is on the board and the manager, I'm afraid, in terms of the squad depth. This is on them, the defeat. When you've got so many of these key players out and not having adequate backups. The thing is, we've been conditioned so much to expect a small squad that we don't think that we should have 2 left backs at the club. You know, it's like if Firpo doesn't play, then we should have Dallas moving out of position. We've been conditioned to that over the past 3 years, but this is the Premier League. You need 2 players in every position. This small squad thing don't work. And hopefully, I mean, there's people mentioning it in the chat about January. If Connor wants to talk about what Biel said before, and he said this thing to us before, we've heard that speech before in terms of getting in players that are better than what he's got. But I just hope he's not over-evaluating what he's got.
That's that loyalty thing again, KG, of playing players just because of what they've done. And I get slaughtered for saying this a lot of times, but if we were loyal, we'd still have Jason Crowe, Paddy Kisnorbo, and the rest of the crew that won 1-0 and got us out of League One. But that comment from, was it Tash that you just put up then, Connor? I said exactly the same thing yesterday. That game yesterday was just like Arsenal, except we scored in the first half. It just had exactly the same feel. Bossed the first half. We actually got a goal yesterday, but we didn't at Arsenal. In the second half, we just didn't really lay a glove.
Yeah. No, and I think Nick's just put here, talking about the injuries, minor foot injury, Rodrigo, and illness. Rafinha was 50-50. The info is from a source very near the team. There we go. Fair enough. But yeah, it is just it's one of those things in terms of the personnel, isn't it? And I think it was either one of you two said it at the start, might have been Brownie, who said that we just simply can't have this rhetoric all the time and this notion and people coming on afterwards and saying, well, we'll have so-and-so back in a couple of weeks. There's just no point in saying it anymore. We've just got to...
somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. So we've just got to roll with the punches, and this is how it is. We've never had... I think Stats said it, LUFC Stats. He said the only time he's had a fully fit squad to decide from was Southend in 2018. So people are having a real sort of recency bias in terms of Leeds have just suddenly got all these injuries out. No, it's because it's our real key nucleus now. So you're seeing Rafinha, leaving obviously not featuring yesterday. Hopefully he'll be back. We've seen Rafinha miss the Southampton game as well. We've seen bouts where Kalvin has been out. We're seeing it more with our key players. Bamford being out, being out, Ayling being out. All of our key players being out for these system. And you cannot judge this in a season. This could happen. Touch wood, this won't happen, and hopefully it won't. But, Rafinha could be out for a sustained period. So we've just got to roll with the punches. But as KG said, that this is down to the club now. This is down to Bielsa and the club. They have to do stuff in January, because if this continues, we're playing Russian roulette. That's what we're doing for the rest of the season. We're playing Russian roulette, and we're hoping that Rafinha just stays fit for the rest of the season and Bamford comes back. And is, by the way, can I just say this? Bamford is firing. That's what we need to happen straight away. Patrick Bamford to be firing, not only to be back, but to be back firing. And when this guy is still the guy in our team with the most assists, slightly worrying.
I think with the Bamford thing, I think it's just that whole aura and name on a team sheet. It'll just push other teams further back. They have a strike, natural, like KG says, they actually have a striker to deal with the centre halves. At the minute, centre halves, they've got the slippers and cigar out. They've not really got an actual striker up against them. Geldart did a great job yesterday, but before Geldart played yesterday, it's James, Harris and Rodrigo just floating around, not actually being a number 9. And I think that number 9 focal point will be huge. And there was a comment before about we're not beating teams that we did last year, like Newcastle, Southampton, Burnley. The one thing that I'm going to flip a positive on, we've played all these teams that are in and around us, Norwich as well, away. They've all been away. Norwich away, Newcastle away, Southampton away, Burnley away. They've all got to come to Ellen Road.
Yeah, no, it's a really good. It's a really good point.
Which plays into our favour for me.
Yeah. Richard said, "Hey up, lads, great. We've not even touched on him yet, have we? And I really do want to focus on this. So thank you so much, Richard, for bringing that up. Hey up, lads, great to see Dan James get a goal. Hopefully the results will start to come soon. Listen, we know I'm not Jack Harrison's biggest fan, but I thought Jack put one of his best performances in we've seen in a while yesterday. Cracking skill for the goal. It was a brilliant goal.
Amazing what happens when you run at a full-back, isn't it?
It's Brownie. This is the talk of my household. Just run at him. And you'll do damage. But in terms of Dan James, KG, his best performance in a Leeds shirt, surely.
Yeah, easily as well. That's what he needed. He just needed something to go for him. He's been trying. The endeavour's been there. The work rate's been there. Just not that final piece of the jigsaw. And he got it yesterday. And you could see that after the goal, he was just getting more and more confident as the game went on. He was shooting from angles that he wasn't doing before. He was just trying his luck at any range that he could. And that's what we need from him. That's what we need from our other wingers. We said it before, we can't leave it all on Rafinha to do everything. So we need threats from everywhere else. And Dan James gave us that yesterday, and long may it continue. We need the Dan James for Wales to come to Leeds. That's what
we do. Yeah.
What surprised me is yesterday I saw Dan James in November has had the most shots in the Premier League. I don't know if that was just off the back of yesterday, like you said, KG. He just seemed to have more confidence. I don't know if that's a good thing either that he's had the most shots. But it did. When I thought about that, even the Leicester game, he was getting in positions and he did have a few shots in that game. He is growing into it a little bit, like KG says. You want to see that Welsh Dan James. When he plays for Wales, he just looks so dangerous.
Well, it's Brownie. The thing is for Wales is it's always, we always talk on this show about statistics and the right statistics and all this sort of stuff. He always gets an assist or a goal for Wales. It always happens. He's always in and amongst it. So, we saw it this week. I think he got one against Belgium. Brilliant. But yeah, hopefully that will start to grow because I think, if your international form is like that, hopefully that's going to transition into club football as well. So, okay, so we've spoken about pretty much everything that I wanted to speak about, but obviously the big talking points are probably these last two comments in terms of after the match, really. Cage has already touched on it. Keep getting your comments in the section below exactly what you made of it. What was your perception on this? Because I know it's been very subjective in terms of what people have found off it. So after the game, Kalvin Phillips did an interview, and I think it was very telling in my personal opinion. And the big theme around it was game management. And you can't ever see Kalvin Phillips getting frustrated visibly because he's such a happy-go-lucky character and just loves playing for Leeds. You can tell that, and just loves football. But was there a little bit of an undercurrent yesterday, KG? Did you get a little bit of a vibe from him yesterday that he was a little bit confused as to what was going on?
This is my perception of it, and obviously we have no proof of anything. This is just all our own opinions here. That was Kalvin Phillips basically saying we need to do better. There's players that need to be better. This team should be a lot better than it is. He held back in the interview as well, which was very telling as well, because it's obvious that there was individual performances he wasn't very pleased with, but you handle that in the dressing room, and I believe he will do that. I believe that Kalvin Phillips has become a leader on and off the pitch for this team. And you can tell that, but just by that interview yesterday, we wouldn't have seen that from Kalvin Phillips in the Championship. No chance. But he's gone away with England now. He's picking up points from all these better players. He's hearing these better players saying, you should come here. And he wants to be better for the club team. You could see it. You could see it in his demeanour. And that's how he was talking yesterday. So when he's talking about game management, he's expecting the players around him to be a lot better than they have been, and being better with the ball as well. And I could see the frustration there. I see people are concerned. They're saying, does that mean that he's going to be looking to move? I just think that he's looking for a bit like what Rafinha said in his interview while he was away with Brazil, that as long as the team can get better, they're happy to stay at Leeds. But this is down to the board and the coach to open their minds a bit now and get that kind of thing done. Kalvin Phillips' comments for me were great. That's what I want to hear from a captain. I don't want to hear we'll pick ourselves up and go again and all this crap. I want to hear somebody say, no, these things need to be fixed and they need to be fixed as soon as possible. And that's what he did.
You don't like hearing the Harry Maguires?
Well, yeah, but we kind of get it from our captain too, in all fairness. It's not just Maguire. These people get designated captains. I don't know how sometimes. I think Liam Cooper got picked, but this is nothing against Cooper. This is my personal preference from what I want to hear from a captain, where he's demanding more from the players around him. That's what we need.
Yeah, Richards said that Kalvin talking about game management and lack of concentration makes me think of Cooper and the fact that he always gives away free kicks in dangerous area. The deflection was unfortunate. Let's have a look at Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac has just said, guys, in many ways, in terms of pure performance, given the players who are available to both teams, I have more hope for Leeds' output than for Spurs. Yeah, and in many ways, it was positive, Freddie, but I think a really intelligent point was brought up. I think it was from Brownie earlier, where he said, in a way, it was a brilliant result, but it almost highlighted Leeds' deficiencies in terms of squad depth. And that's all everybody's been talking about after the fact, because that is a game. Make no bones about it. I'm sick of all this stuff of Leeds are here to take part. It's a free hit, all that rubbish. Yeah. Leeds United were winning the game 1-0 away at Tottenham Hotspur. Leeds United had to get, in my opinion, Leeds United had to get something from that game. Even if we're under the cosh, we had to get something from that game, you know. And
we keep saying that. We keep saying that. In the Leicester game, we should have won it. We only got 1 point. The West Ham game should have got something from it. Got no points. And it's these late on in games. How many games did you name before where we've been ahead in these games?
It's five this season.
And we're not seeing them out, and that is due. And it's not a coincidence. And like Kalvin said, game management. And on the flip side of it, Bielsa'S making the decisions, but what else has he got to bring on?
Oh, no.
And the crux of it,
but Brownie, if what we're hearing is true, that's on him.
That's what I mean. That's what I was about to say. It'll never come out, but you either need to hear, right, it's the board aren't giving him the money, or it's Bielsa saying, no, I want these players. That's where blame is a big word, but that's where it lies. This situation is where it lies for me. Is it the board saying no? Is it Bielsa saying no, I want this group of players to play even more?
So what did you make of it then? What did you make of it then, Brian? Just before we go to Cage's comments there, Brownie, what did you make of? Have you got a different perception from Cage's there? Are you
not entirely? No, I agree. You want your players, like you mentioned before with Levente, was not having any of Son's diving. You want your players to have a pair of bollocks and say it as it is, which is what he did. But
I was getting paid for this video. I'm joking.
That's like you say, we say it as it is, and that's what you want. Cool. You want your players to stand in front of the camera and not just read from a script. You want them to say it as it is, and I thought it was ironic that he chose to do it on his best performance, because there's been question marks over him over a few performances, but maybe
that's why he did it, Brownie.
Yeah, maybe he's feeling frustrations himself.
Brownie, I've seen this a lot as well, and I agree in terms of what you're saying, in terms of it not being his best performance, but for the large majority of the midfield for the season, he's been the midfield. There's no one else there.
No, I don't mean yesterday. I thought it was immense yesterday.
I'm just saying you can. What I'm saying is some of his performances have been a bit downturned, but I almost give him a bit because he's got credit in the bank from what he's done anyway. But I give him credit in the bank because he's the midfield.
Oh, massive! And I think he has been immense, and I think Forshaw being in there now will only improve Phillips. He's not having to do 3 midfielders' jobs for a start, which he has been doing. I take that on board. He has been the only midfielder in there. So is it harsh to say he's not been great? I'm not saying he's not been great, but he's been in there on his own effectively, hasn't he? He's had a click that's not really been a click. He's had Rodrigo floating around. He's had so many different partners in there. Dallas. You never know if you're coming or going.
Yeah, Matt Davis says Kalvin hasn't signed a new contract yet, as he's looking at the team and thinking that we can't match his ambitions. Hopefully not. But it's an interesting point. I know that's been shared quite a bit, hasn't it, at this moment in time, in terms of his okay. And I listen, right. This is another one. We've got to be careful here. We've got to be really, really careful.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
We're not going back on that. But I think a more stone face on Cagey there. But in terms of Firpo's performance yesterday, obviously he came on. Now, is that something on Bielsa there, bringing him on at that moment in time? Once again, Strout was decent, or is that on Firpo? I don't really know how to look at it, because when he came on, I mean, Tottenham were getting so much joy on that right hand side as soon as he came on. Every single time he gets the ball. For me, and I know he's had COVID, I know he's been ill, I am not hounding him out, and I want everybody to understand that, because I know this is what happens when we do player analysis. It's you're absolutely abusing them. They've been out. So I'm talking just from the little bits I've seen. He does still seem a little bit nervous. First game back, but it's just even stylistically when he's got the ball, Cagey, there's something it's not clicking for him when he's on the pitch with Leeds at the minute, is it?
I don't think it was nerves. I just think he looked unfit. And this is what surprised me the most, because we know that Bielsa will play these guys in the under-23s until he sees them fit. To me, he didn't look anywhere near 80% fit yesterday. It wasn't just that he was a bit slappy. Where was the time in the under-23s? How did he manage to get on the pitch and get half an hour? Now, this is what other teams usually do when injured players come back. They give them half an hour in games. But we haven't seen that over the Bielsa's tenure. We see them go in the under-23s for a couple of games and then come up when they're ready. He was not ready yesterday. And that's not excusing his play on the ball or his lack of positional awareness yesterday. But I'm just saying that guy was not 100% fit yesterday at all.
No.
I mean, in the last debrief show, I mean, KG highlighted it really, really well. And we both said that we didn't think he'd play against Tottenham because he just hasn't had his minutes. And like KG just said, other teams play them and throw them into 23s. But I think that, again, another point of just echoes. We've just got nobody else that can play.
Yeah.
He's played hardly any minutes for Leeds United, but him and Tyler Roberts were our only senior players on the bench.
Yeah.
Everybody else was 18, 19.
Yeah, I mean, everybody keep getting your comments in. There's some great ones going in. I've seen somebody say we don't read out the comments. We do read out the comments. We just normally do them right at the end when we've gone through all the points that we're here to talk about. And sometimes with three people who've got opinions, I'll say the least, it takes time, and that's what you're all here for.
It's hard to judge Firpo. It really is, because we just haven't seen him, and he's been injured, out, poorly.
Yeah,
exactly. It's been like the hokey cokey with him. Exactly. He's just not had a settled spell. Yeah. I will throw Cock into that as well. We haven't seen him, and I just hope that he isn't going down the road of robbing Cock, because, I mean, someone in the comments might be able to say, how many games has he played for Leeds? It can't be many.
Yeah, and also on that as well, it goes back to what I said earlier about having two players for the position. It shouldn't be that Firpo just comes back in when he's put in the kind of performances he had. We should have another left back there saying, come and take my place. But now we don't have that. Again, that's something with the board. And a lot of people are mentioning January there. I said on my show yesterday, because Bielsa said that for the players that we need, it will need 20, 30 million here and there. But there will be so many players that will be good for us on loan in January. There's going to be plenty of players available that we can take. Also, as we mentioned before, John Swift, Reading have just had a points deduction. They're in a bit of trouble. He's out of contract in the summer. He might be available for very, very cheap money. You have to get on these things. If you're going to stick with this status quo and just believe that you've got the best of what you've got, that's not going to work for me. That's why I'm hoping with everything. Bielsa, he's a smart man. I hope that he's willing to open up and just say, yes, I need a few more first-team bodies. As I said yesterday as well, I don't want to see anyone else come into the under-23s. We've got enough of those, enough of the under-23 recruitment. Let's get some first-team bodies in.
Yeah, I mean, you bang on with what you just said, KG, and it's the first time I've really thought about it. We're a Premier League team with one left back. It's scandalous. It really is. It's scandalous that a Premier League outfit has one left back.
It's not. I think the big thing with it is as well. I mean, we keep speaking about the hypothetical scenarios, but long term, it just doesn't seem sustainable. It just doesn't seem. I was just of the impression that lessons would have been learnt by now. And we'll get into the Bielsa comments. This might be a bit of a small graphics. I've just had to marginally pull it up, but I'll read it out. This is what Bielsa said yesterday in reference to the amount of players we have in the squad. It's not only about the amount of players, but the quality of the players that form the squad. So the players of a level for any position, they cost as a minimum between 20 and 30 million. So an institution like Leeds, who's invested a lot in players with the first year and also in the second year, to imagine that we could increase the power of our professional group shouldn't be evaluated without looking at the economic possibilities. And I think it's great that Bielsa is looking at the economic possibilities, but I don't want him looking at the economic possibilities. I want that to be a thing that the board do. They give him a budget. What can we do in January? Well, this is what we can do in January, Marcelo. You go out and there is 100%, as KG just alluded to there, and Brownie's been speaking about, we've done players before on the Room Mill on this channel who are affordable within that bracket, 100%. And I think it's how... For me, I don't know if you two agree, this is how Bielsa sees his current crop of players. How good does he evaluate them as?
That's
because
what I was just about to say.
Is Matthias Klick in Bielsa's mind way above John Swift? Because if he is, we will not be doing anything in January. And I think that's going to be the measure of it.
For me, from reading that there, that basically I'm taking from that is that the players that we need to bring in to be better than what we've got are 20 to 30 million. That's what I'm taking from that. And when you look around the team, is Klick 20 to 30 million? Nope. Ayling? Nope. Cooper? Nope. Roberts? Nope. Dallas? No. They're not 20 to 30 million pound players. So you're right, Connor. Is he over-evaluating what we actually have?
Yeah, and just to add on that as well, it also helps if these guys are paid the big bucks to do this, by the way, not as fans. But it's up to you to say to Matthias Klick, listen, we're going to move you on now because I think a club in Germany will want you for 8-9 million at that point. You might be able to get that for a Polish international. Tyler Roberts, it's time for you to go. We give him a new contract instead. There's players as well that you could have moved out as well as getting some in. And one that sticks out in my head, I know I've mentioned him and people that are subscribed to me will know, is Coop Miners. He went for 14 million to Atalanta, and yes, that's a Champions League team. But just like Cornet at Burnley, if you move quick enough, you can get these players because the Premier League is a huge draw. Yeah. And I think Coop Miners in our first 11 would be immense, and that's 14 million. So that's not 20 to 30.
Not only that, but Cornet's perfect.
I think you're right, Kate. I think Leeds and Bielsa is a big draw. Leeds and Bielsa,
yeah, absolutely. Huge. Absolutely. You're talking about Leeds United. People still remember our heydays. It's a big club with history, and it counts a lot for these kind of players. Bielsa's still a draw. People know him as a coach. They know they're going to get better under him. But it's up. This is what I'm saying. It's on the board and Bielsa to assess the squad. Forget the sentiment. Realize now that we're in a different spot. I think that 9th place position really did mess with their minds a bit in thinking that this group could just go again. They had to do the work in the summer. And now, if we don't see in January, well...
Jim Watson's just said, and Jim, you could be spot on here. You really could be. Connor, don't forget that Bielsa may be being restricted by owners on spend. It's not necessarily his decision. What
I'll say to that, though, is that we was told in the rumours that we had little money. The Lewis O'Brien was too expensive. And I still agree with them not getting Lewis O'Brien for 13 million. I'm glad they didn't overspend for him. But then out of nowhere, we managed to do a 25 million deal for Dan James, which proves that there was money there.
Yeah,
that's so true, KJ. And that's what really got me with that January transfer. I mean, Dan James could rise to 30, couldn't it? I mean, what did DePaul go for? 36? Mm-hmm. If you're pulling 30 million out for a winger when you'd already had, at that point, we had Harrison, we had Rafinha, we still had Costa, and I'm not saying play Costa, But would you rather have Costa and a DePaul or Dan James and no centre midfielder?
Yeah.
And it just felt like we were signing players when other positions weren't filled. Like KG said, one left back.
Yeah, it is one. I mean, it just stinks of Leeds having to do something for me. I'm going to get into some of your comments now, guys. Listen, there's been hundreds that have come in, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So there's a guy up a little bit further on who was having to go at me for not reading out the comments. We try and do the best we can, or I'm trying to do the best I can. Leaf Davis says, David Loftout says, Leaf Davis will be playing in the Premier League with Bournemouth next season. Potentially. Mark Story also said many times the amount of times Bielsa has turned down the chance of signing players he likes his small squad, and I think that's a big thing. It's been well documented by all the top journalists. You know, we've read in The Athletic, we've read Leeds Live, we've read Yorkshire Evening Post, that it's a big thing that Marcelo Bielsa has the final say. You know, essentially Victor Orta, from what I've read, goes to him with a long list that says, look, who's right and who's wrong in that long list, and Bielsa might just pick one out. And if then you've got to look at the next scenario, which, well, can Leeds attract that player? Can Leeds go and get that player?
Conor Gallagher being a fine example as well.
Yeah, and you've got to look at Marcelo Bielsa, who absolutely sticks on players. You know, Dan James being an obvious example who he's been keen on for the best part of 4 years now. So we'll stick on players as well. So, you know, you best believe we've been linked with a player. We'll be linked with him over and over again. And Bielsa probably has him in his database. So it's a really tough one because we don't know the ins and outs of the club. But
do you know a player I thought of the other day? He went on the Australia tour, scored, plays for Poland under 21, bogus, went out on loan. We're struggling in the middle. I mean, I'm not saying he's the answer, but it's just another centre midfield option that we don't have that we could.
Brownie, that's why you're just you're such a lovely person, because you're trying to find positives and you're doing a great job there. You actually are, because Bogus is someone who I've not thought about. But the only reason, mate, and this is the harsh truth about it, we shouldn't be thinking about Matthias Bogus. He's playing for Ibiza. You know, we shouldn't be thinking about this guy. And
no, but what I'm saying is, when we're down to the bare bones and squad depth, we've got an average age of a bench of 20. And I mean, I know he's a young lad himself, but if he's not, like KG said, if he's not having him, move him on. That's
a fair point. So and that's another thing. If Matthias Bogus right now, and it looks like he's got a great highlight reel at the minute, it looks like he's doing really, really well for Ibiza. This is exactly what KG was saying. If his stock's high, you got to sell him. He's never going to make it into the first team, is he? So we've got to sell him now when his stock's high. Yeah, it's fascinating.
That Bogus idea for me isn't one.
I get it. I get what Brownie's saying.
I know what Brownie's saying, though, but he's balling out in some. I mean, we don't even know what kind of league that is. So yeah,
it's a league I want to be playing in. I bet he's having a right laugh.
Oh man, he probably don't want to come back. Night out in Leeds or a night out in Ibiza.
Exactly. I'm sure he's having a great time. Vardy is a great player who joined for peanuts, just to name one. Yeah, another one, Jermaine Beckford. Just from the non-leagues. There we go. There's always gems in the non-league.
Yeah. Can I just add to that as well, Connor? I mean, go through the comments, but it's it's just about the price of players. You don't have to spend an inordinate amount to get a good player. We've seen that with Rafinha, Llorente. Now that he's got a run of games, we've seen him consistently good.
Yeah.
And also, I know that we have wasted money here and there. Costa, Rodrigo. I still think Rodrigo's well overpaid. But we've also underspent as well with, like, Gelhardt. He's not going to be sold for a little more than 1 million.
Lewis Bate.
Yeah, Lewis Bate is certainly not going to be sold for a 3 million deal when he goes, if he ever goes. Also, Kalvin Phillips has come through the system. He's worth astronomical amounts of money. So, it goes both ways. It like swings and roundabouts with prices and stuff. Melier as well, 5 million. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my days. Yeah.
I think
it's another spot on point. You think about spending money. Rafinha, 17. It's a snip.
Yeah.
So you're right. We haven't really overspent on many players, and sell-on value for these players are huge.
Yeah, definitely. 20 or 30 million is peanuts in today's market, sadly. And it is. I mean, that's another crazy point, isn't it? And when you see the market value of what we've seen with this summer, when the Premier League is, for me, it's the best Premier League there's ever been. I think I've mentioned it on here before in terms of standard, but 20 million now is it's the old 8 to 9 million, isn't it? It's just absolutely nothing. And I think that's something we've just got to get used to. So 20 million. Yeah, I mean, what did Eberechi Eze go to Crystal Palace for last year? Was it 25 million?
No, 16.
Oh, was it 16? Okay,
Yeah.
fair play. But you do see players going for that value, don't you? It just seems to be short change in this current climate.
Jordan Senior Green in the comments there, Loftus-Cheek. Tuchel's got his hands on him now, and he said he doesn't understand how he didn't play for Chelsea before. So I don't think he's even going to be an option.
I think Leeds have got to do something similar to what West Ham did with Lingard or Newcastle did with Willock. They just went and got a player in who wasn't playing, who had talent, and just did the business for him. It didn't cost him any. Well, obviously it cost wages and what have you. But even Lingard, he's still not playing at Man United. And I mean, would you put Lingard in our team at the minute?
Yeah,
I would. I would.
Absolutely, yeah,
exactly,
100%.
You just got, like KG says, and you said, Connor, these players, there are players out there that aren't playing, and I mean, I'm Victor Angus, Kinnear, Vadvizani, Bielsa, and all his staff. I'm sure they'll be looking, no doubt. But this tagline of you have to spend 20, 30 million, no, I'm not sure.
Imagine San Marino versus Ibiza. We should get ourselves over for that one. We'll do a debrief special.
Connor,
why can't we do a show from Ibiza? Why did you
guys,
keep your money out. Connor,
keep your donations coming in, and we'll get a live set sorted in Ibiza with Bogus. We'll get him on the special guest.
Loan watch. We could call it the debrief loan watch live from Ibiza.
Can I just say, because I think I'm seeing a lot of people saying Ross Barkley, and I've said it on my channel numerous times, so my subscribers know what I think. Ross Barkley is the exact same player that we had on loan. Please just don't get fooled by the name Ross Barkley and that he's cost a bit of money going to Chelsea. He's still the player that has got good dribbling skills, but his decision-making is appalling. And even Chelsea fans are saying that this season as well when he's been getting opportunities. His shots still go way off target like they used to when he was on loan at our place. He hasn't improved. He hasn't stepped up. And then eventually he gets injured and he goes out. And he even went out of form at Aston Villa where as he does everywhere, he starts well. And he just dips out of form. So for me, Ross Barkley is an absolute no-go.
But KG, even just his attributes, like there is no chance with the amount of money he's earned in his career, he's coming to Leeds and being a dog with this side. There's no attitude there to be willing to do the Bielsa style. There's absolutely no chance he would stylistically fit Leeds at all. No. It's a shocking rumour.
So, like Liverpool, like Divock Origi, whenever he plays, he scores, but he hardly plays.
Yeah,
there is players that aren't playing that you can go in and get on loan. And I mean, I know it's not ideal to get players on a loan, but we did it with Ben White, and he did a brilliant job for us. So I don't know. I think the loan market is something we've never really took advantage of.
If it's going to keep you in the division, Brownie, then I'd definitely have a Lingard. That's absolutely fine by me. I don't care if he's going to score us 8 goals. That's fine. See, we want Alex Mowat back. Alex Mowat, I've seen him play so many times, and he was in a really high pressing Barnsley system last year, and he was absolutely fantastic. But it's difficult, isn't it? Because we see ourselves as I'm telling
you now. If on January the 1st or deadline day we signed Alex,
I don't mean that now. No, not now.
People would be up in arms.
Yeah, but it was interesting with the whole Lewis O'Brien thing, wasn't it? Like obviously I cover Yorkshire clubs, and I've watched a lot of Lewis O'Brien, and he's a very, very good player, a very, very good player. And just because it's Lewis O'Brien and it's Huddersfield, it's not for us.
It's not that. Don't come on, Colin. Don't do that to me. He's not worth £30 million. No way.
No, I'm not saying he is, but he's a good player.
Yeah, but does he then, with Radrizzani's comments of making the top 6 the season after, does he help that Lewis O'Brien?
Well, we need a squad overhaul then.
We knew that anyway, and they should have done that like 4 players at a time, but they haven't done. Yeah. They didn't even do that.
Yeah, but for where we are now, for me, it's just consolidation. That's how I see it. That's how I see it for the next 2 or 3 years. And that's maybe really, really negative, and it depends on what happens in the summer months. But from what I've seen so far and what you try to understand from the club, I thought this year was going to be a real step up in terms of recruitment, but we didn't see that. So,
do you think though that we've had a summer off, and you think this summer we do see a big summer?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk of that, isn't there? There's a lot of talk of seeing a big summer. Yeah, Yeah. I think you look at players now. Maybe they're coming to the end of their time. I mean, Matthias Klick's probably the one that stands out. Tyler Roberts. I mean, I know he signed a new contract, but surely, like, I mean, is
that
that
1-2 were good in the throw-in in the 90th minute, wasn't it?
But I'm not.
There it is.
There it is. Yeah.
No,
I'm
I didn't even explode. I just chuckled.
Yeah, listen, he just came to my mind there, but then I realised he shouldn't have come to my mind. 'Cause it sounds like I'm just going at him, but you get what I mean. There's so many players there that need to move that need to be moved on. It's really simple. I struggle to say it because you get hounded for it. 'Cause it's sentiment and all this sort of stuff, and we've been, we've done so well with these players, but football does work in cycles, and we have to move on at some point. We just
Yeah, with that as well, because I know what you're saying there, Connor, and it's why I don't get involved in those debates. But I do wonder with those people that think that we should keep this band together. If we did happen to go down, which again, I gotta state, I don't think we will at this point. But if we did, would they be happy going back into the Championship?
Good point.
Because you can't have it both ways. It's like those people that say, as long as we finish 17th, we should be able to keep Kalvin, Phillips, and Rafinha. It's just. You just want your cake and eat it with that kind of thinking.
It's a good point. Them players have now tasted Premier League football, so they'll, whether Leeds go down, if Leeds went down, they'd still want to play Premier League football. So if they'd be happy to leave Leeds, why can we not be happy to sign more players?
It's a transaction that works both ways, isn't it? If a player outgrows a club, you say, good luck to you. You deserve your move away. But as a club, if you've outgrown the players, you have to say, sorry, lads, we thank you for everything you've done, but you need to move on because we need to get better. It's just the history of football.
So, Connor, looking at that starting 11 yesterday, if you were in charge, who'd you keep?
It depends on the objective, doesn't it? If he's actually talking about top 6,
which he has, yeah.
Which he has.
I mean, we're looking at Melier. I'm probably not Llorente, maybe, but top 6. Kalvin, obviously, and that's it. I mean, Pascal, 100%. Pascal, 100%.
That's what I mean, though. So if he's talking, so he's bringing out these bold statements about top 6 and pushing for Europe. But yet, when you look at your starting 11, you've got 3, possibly 4 that could play in a top 6 side. Yeah, there's a problem.
But this is why that's why I just mentioned Lewis O'Brien, and it's not a signing I'd want to see. It's not a fashionable sign. It's not a top 6 signing. God, it's not a top 10 signing probably. But I don't.
You're muted.
Yeah, it's always when I'm on a rant. I just don't get what the objective is at the minute. When the chairman's coming out and saying top 6 in the next year or two, whatever it was. For me, that's just head in the clouds scenario. So that's
unless we've won a League Cup. Unless we won a League Cup.
Of course.
We're nowhere near the top 6.
Of course, but
that's why it'll be interesting to see what does happen next summer, because I know they had to put off a lot of fees until this summer, which is why we didn't do much. But that's what his comments. If he doesn't keep on saying this kind of thing, then I don't expect top 6. It's that simple with the players that we've currently got. But with him saying that, I'm expecting some kind of overhaul next summer.
Which, on the positive side of it, is exciting. If that's what he wants and that's where he thinks he's going, then it's going to be an exciting summer ahead.
Yeah.
Story put a good point here. Man United struggling for top 6. Look at how much that squad costs. I think that is exactly the thing. It is just that top 6 now. It just seems economically so far away. And I'm not saying Leeds at one city club, fantastic history, great fan base, but just in terms of projections and where that elite top 6 is now. We're not talking about 2004 when we went down, and you look at that top 4 even years before and Leeds were in amongst it. We're in a different playing field now. It's different spaces. So
I don't even think Leicester make top 6 this year. Just shows that how much investment needs to be put in.
Yeah. And I think listen, Cage is right as well with what he said in terms of last year almost killed us, because that top 9 finish, every single Leeds fan now genuinely, there's a fair few Leeds fans at the start of the season who thought, because we finished 9th, we're going to finish 7th, and then we're going to finish 5th. I told you on my Twitter when I put out, I said, I think we're going to finish 13th, and I got dogs abuse. People turned around to me and quote tweeted me and said, I'm Connor, I'm looking for attention. 13th, I said, and I was looking for attention. It was negative. So that's the problem. I think it has killed us a little bit finishing in that position. I know, for example,
not put in the group. I'm going to put the group chat up then that thought we finish 18th now.
But yeah, Norwich
I'm joking.
Norwich on the European charge.
He said 19th.
But yeah, it's just fascinating, isn't it? It really is. And that's why, you know, with the 49ers increasing the stake and all this sort of stuff, I think a lot of people were thinking that's going to have January impact. I don't think it is. I think it's more of an infrastructure thing, which I think a lot of people are seeing they've invested more and we're going to spend a lot of money in January and the summer. I don't think that is for that investment from what I understand. It is just for infrastructure and that sort of thing, which the 49ers are specialists in. So, yeah.
Has that got anything to do with the ground then? Because we've heard all this about the ground getting redone and the West Stand. Is that happening? Is that a pipe dream? Does that depend on if we stay up?
Yeah, I mean that's another. I mean, wow, that's a whole new debrief, that, mate. In terms of just, yeah, I mean, Leeds just have to stay up. We have to stay up. And yeah, we will. But yeah, I mean, the wage budget, the amount we've spent, the plans, yeah, Leeds have to stay in the Premier League, I think, this year. Look at the amount we've spent. So it's been a lot of money, hasn't it? So yeah. But guys, I think we've been going on for an hour. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to bring up?
No, I'm good.
Oh, good.
We need to predict Brighton.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't really touched on Brighton, have we?
Oh God, yeah. That game. So guys, stick around. We're going to start the debrief now. But okay, let's quickly do a little bit brief on Brighton then. So Brighton, Hove Albion, KG. Go on. You watch loads of other football. You can give us a depth talk on them, mate.
Yeah, I mean the problem is like we mentioned earlier, they draw a lot of games and they don't really score that many goals. But you know, just like Tottenham hadn't had a shot on target and a goal in a while, along come Leeds United, and that's the thing. That's the thing with this game. They've got players that can hurt us. Trossard, Mopé he's always going to be a bane in our side.
Oh God, I forgot about him.
And he loves it. He loves scoring against these type of teams as well. He loves scoring against fan bases that are, you know, loud and passionate. He loves that kind of stuff. I just think, and also defensively, we're talking about our front three. Just say Bamford, and you know, we're not even touched on the Bamford thing about Bamford possibly not being back before the new year because he's still out after an international break. But just think if we got Gelhardt, James, and Harrison against Dunk, Duffy, and Byrne, like we're gonna have to play around these guys. We're gonna have to dribble around them. There's no chance of high crosses in the box. No point. They'll just eat them up all day long. So again, we're going to be at a bit of a disadvantage of that. Basuma's playing well as he does. So yeah, it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a very tough game.
I think the problem. I mean, this was another team which really hampered Leeds, sort of a 3-4-3 system as well, and Leeds really ran out of ideas against Brighton. Any time we went forward, I thought it was just the crosses into the box, and it was Bamford up against three giants, and that's when we had Bamford as well. By the way, I think they've recruited. They've got Shane Duffy back from Celtic as well, who was on loan at Celtic, who I think stands at about 6'5" as well. So that's another one. Of course, they've lost Ben White, who was probably the best player at Ellen Road for them. But they really did maraud through the middle. And Brownie, if you remember correctly, I thought that was probably it was up there with Southampton at the Amex in terms of dire performances. I don't know if you went down that day.
No, there were no fans last year, was there?
Oh, God.
So,
oh, man. Sorry, lads.
I think I watched that one at home.
Sorry, apologies.
But no, you're right. We just went down without a whimper, didn't we? We didn't. Looking back at, well, from my memory serves me right, we didn't really do anything. It was just, there was just no fight to it, was then. And like KG says at the start of the show, it's like that every time we go to Brighton. Remember one year we were 3-0 down after half an hour, I think it might have been 4 at half time. And yeah, I'm going to go against my judgment here because I've said that we won't get anything at Brighton. But
Brownie, can I just say as well, Danny and Nketiah in the January transfer window, mate, we did it on the last debrief where we had a real in-depth chat about Eddie Nketiah. Go back and check it out, mate. And we had our thoughts out there. I just don't want to repeat what we've already said just because we'll say the exact same things. So Brownie, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no, the Brighton away always seems to be a defeat going down without a whimper. And I've said to everybody I've spoke to that I don't think we'll get anything at Brighton. But just something in that first half at Tottenham, it was a proper away performance. And maybe we're suited to probably picking up something away from home. It's early days, it's Monday. And by Thursday, Friday, my opinion might change depending on if Rodrigo, Rafinha, anybody of them's back. If we're still without all 6 of them, it's a completely different game to what it is now. But
can't say but just go without them, mate.
No, but if you do chuck a Rafinha into that team,
true.
Then why can't we go to Brighton and get something? That
because then Kalvin will be out. No, you're right.
That Leeds United Twitter had the audacity to put up a video of Kalvin signing a crutch when half the team is in A&E.
Yeah, go on, mate. What did you say you score?
No.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
Well, you're gonna have to give one, mate, because you can't just stick. You can't stick at the top of the table. You've got to, we've got to challenge you a little bit there, or you get void, which is 3 points.
You get 3 points for being a void.
Yeah,
listen to him making up rules on the spot here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with. I want to say a win. And
well, you predicted a loss last week, Judas.
I know, but I got it right. I do you know what I was going to say a win with a clean sheet until I saw that Duffy set pieces.
Not the only one, mate. Power stations at the back.
Yeah, absolute statues. I joke like Mark there. I can see something like that happening. I really can see a dominant away performance, but it is all pinned on Rafinha if he's fit. Someone coming in. You see us soaking up pressure and Rafinha breaking. I can just picture it. Rafinha breaking, James breaking. I think Geldart will play again. I really hope he does. I'm going to go over Leeds win,
Okay, and we're still waiting on your scoreline.
Can I let you know about 7 o'clock Saturday night?
I know Leeds are going to win, but I'm there in my pen like that, Brownie.
2-0.
2-0 Leeds.
And it'd be the start of the Brighton collapse.
Oh, that'd be nice. I don't really like Brighton.
Right. KG is right. They do draw a lot of games and they haven't won many lately.
Oh, God. Here's Brownie.
No. Oh, no.
That's going to be clipped up on every Brighton TV channel.
Guys, as well, there is 550 of you in here now. Absolutely legendary. I think we've peaked at about 636. So make sure you're liking, checking the lads' description out. Go subscribe to KG. Link will be in the description below. Check out Brownie's Twitter. It is just it's diamond. And we'll get onto Brownie's Twitter in just a second. KG, go on, mate. I don't know if you're just going to tell me that Leeds are going to win or Leeds are going to lose.
Yeah, just quickly on the preface that Rafinha is playing, and I want to make that very clear. I'm gonna go with a 2-1 Leeds win. Why not? Let's do this.
Yeah, can we do that? Seems like it's only Monday, Connor.
Yeah.
Can we give a score if Rafinha's playing, and can we give a score if Rafinha's not?
I think Brownie. I think Connor's the only one that can give a caveat.
Yeah, just for actually for actually trying to introduce a caveat, no. So I'm gonna go with Brighton 4. No, I'm gonna. I'd kick myself off. No, I never would do that. I'm gonna go with Brighton. Head or heart? Brighton 2, Leeds 3.
That is some Saturday night entertainment, by the way.
There you go. 3-2 Leeds. Gelhardt hat trick. So, thanks, Connor, Brownie, Cage. You've been fab again, guys. We're going to head off because I think we're all going to go to bed. It is 9:30. So, thank you so much. If you've stuck with us from the start, listen. Thank you. It's been a slog, but we've thoroughly enjoyed it. As I said,
celeb.
Yeah, 5 episodes down, 45k views. Make sure you're liking this video. Let's try get up to 1,000 likes if we can. Keep viewing the debrief. I will make this podcast this available on podcast if you guys want it. Just let me know in the comment section below. Guys, thank you so much again, and we will see you in a bit. Cheers.